All of these tips that I'm going to share with you, you can speak aloud to the animal, or you could speak them just in your mind or in your heart. A lot of people like to start with speaking aloud because it kind of helps you to stay focused on either the message, but maybe even more importantly, the emotion that the message is situated in. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. And actually, anyway, I speak aloud to my animals too. I mean, we all do. But if I want to give them a particular message, sometimes I speak it aloud. Moving, you want to explain the process to them so you can talk about it, or you can visualize what it's going to be like as, say, we're packing up the boxes, we start to fill the truck with all of the belongings, and then, of course, you want to visualize them getting in whatever vehicle they're going to get in and going to the new home. If it's a dog or something like that, someone that you can actually take to the space before you move, you could actually take them to it so that they can be a part of choosing it. But if you can't, if it's an animal that doesn't travel well, then you can just think about the space, and you want to be able to think about the space with a lot of great feelings, all of the reasons that you selected it specially for the family, including your animal family. And give them the lay of the land in your mind. They will hear you, they will see the pictures that you are seeing in your mind, especially if you're directing them to them. You want to reassure them that all of the family is coming with you. So make sure that you let them know the cat is coming and the children are coming, or whoever is moving with you. You want to reassure them that everything is safe in the new home, that everything is beautiful, or everything is the way that you want it to be, that we're all going to be together and we're going to be flourishing together in the new home. Now, if there are some particular items that you know that your animal will be concerned with, let's say if it is, if you have a dog and he would want to know if he has a yard, or what his yard looks like, or what the neighborhood looks like, that would be something that you could address with him too. Those are frequently questions that I get from an animal when they know a move is coming. One more little tip about moving. Sometimes if you aren't actually even planning to move, but maybe you're doing some shopping in real estate, or you're just talking about one day when we move, or visualizing a move that's not even imminent, it might be coming in the future, your animal might pick up some of that and think, oh my goodness, are we moving? So if you know you're having those kinds of thoughts or conversations, it might be good to go ahead and have a little chat with your animal and just say, guess what? We're not actually moving. We're actually staying right where we are. Mommy's just thinking about it. The next thing that is good to communicate with your animal about is traveling. Anytime you're going to go on vacation, you're going to be leaving the home for a significant amount of time. Now, we all experience, if you have dogs, we all know that dogs get terrible separation anxiety. A lot of them actually show it by, being naughty and chewing on things, or what we call naughty. They're just really trying to get that anxious energy out. But you know what? So do cats, so do birds, even our fish, or any other kind of animal that we have in our home as companions. All of them can get very anxious and concerned when we go away for a significant amount of time. So you want to tell the animal how long you're going to be gone. So as you're packing your bags and you're just thinking about going, whenever you start to think about going on vacation or whatever it is, sit down with your animal and just tell them, we're going to be gone such and such amount of days. Now, that's how they understand time. They understand time the same way that we do, but you have to be mindful of the fact they don't use calendars, so they don't know January, and they don't use watches, so they don't know 4 o'clock. But they do have if you can feel what 4 o'clock feels like, imagine what the sun looks like and how many hours away it is, they'll get that, because they do pass time in the same way that we do, obviously. Days, though, if you know what at like 5 days, if you imagine what 5 days feels like, they get that feeling. They experience that too. Now, just because you tell them before you go how long you're going to be gone, that doesn't mean they're going to always totally remember. They usually keep asking. So I would say when you're away, you can reach out to them, and you can you can be sitting in your hotel room, and you can just say, hey, Franzi, who's my kitty sitting right here. Franzi, hi, Franzi, mommy loves you. Talk to him and say, we're going to be gone 3 more days. And then maybe in another day, say, it's 2 more days. Because they just kind of get a little anxious, and they're like, wait, tell me again what the time feels like that you're going to be gone. And that makes them feel a lot better. I know that from experience. When I'm away, my animals keep asking me how much longer each day that I check in with them. Another very important Somebody's trying to get in. Another very important thing to communicate to your animal when you're traveling is who is going to be caring for them. If you're having an animal, a pet sitter or something like that, visualize that person, or if they already know them, that's perfect. Let them know who's going to be coming, how many times a day they're coming, all that kind of stuff, who's walking them, or if it's a dog who's going to a daycare or something, or to someone else's home. Just give them that information in advance as well. And what you want to do with all of this is you want to give it to them in very positive, uplifted feeling, so that they feel relaxed about it. If you are anxious and you're worried about how you think you're going to be worried about how they feel, really try to let that energy go before you communicate with them, because they, more than anything, they go off of our feelings. That's what they hear from us, if you, so to speak. They hear with their hearts. The next thing that you want to communicate with your animal about is going to the vet. Now, I know they hide sometimes when they hear the VET word. And even sometimes when you haven't even told them that they're going to the vet, sometimes they hide anyway, and you're like, how did they know? Or, dogs who don't like baths and they go hide. That one time you're drawing the bath for them, when you didn't mention that bath was for them. When you take a bath yourself and he's always nosing around in there while you're trying to take a bath. But this time he hides. That's telepathy. That's proof there that they do hear our thoughts. But going to the vet, I know they're never going to agree that it's going to be a super duper fun thing, but it's still better for them to understand what's going to happen so that they can try to manage their discomfort and anxiety about the situation as much as possible. So what you want to do is just be as transparent as possible. Give them the whole explanation about what you think is going to happen at the vet. Put them in the car. In your mind, imagine going and getting in the car, especially if it's an animal that doesn't travel well or frequently. We're going to put you in the crate and in the car. We're going to go to the vet. There's going to be very nice people there. They're going to be very nice to you. They're going to touch you. They're going to put you in this room, and there might be some smells that are different. There's going to be a cold metal table. I do all of that kind of stuff. I try to give them all of the expectations. If I think there's going to be shots, or I think there's going to be some kind of exam that's, a little invasive. If there's going to be surgery, I explain to them that they're going to go to sleep for a while and they won't even know what's happening. Then they're going to wake up and they're going to be a little bit sore in this particular area. I go ahead and just try to tell them everything. I say, they're going to give you medicine that makes you feel a little bit different. And as you're explaining that to them, you want to reassure them that the reason that we're doing all of this is because we're taking care of you, because we want you to be very healthy. And this is the way that we accomplish that. And a lot of times animals will be like, okay, I don't really understand human medicine. I don't want that to happen, but I trust you, especially if you're being transparent with them. It helps them to build their trust in you, and they still may be fussy and uncomfortable, but at least they were informed, and it's probably going to be better for them than it would have been otherwise. If they have to stay overnight, tell them how long. If it's going to be more than one day, tell them when you're going to come and visit them. Tell them that you're thinking about them. And again, keep it in as positive a feeling in your heart as possible about their wellness. Another time to communicate with your animal is when there's going to be some kind of change in the family dynamic. So that means if someone is moving away, or if someone is coming to visit for a long time, it's good to let them know. If they're moving away for good, let them know that. Explain to them, they're not going to live here anymore. You can tell them if they're visiting, how often they might visit. You can just have a feeling of how often they may visit. Let them know that. This also includes if we're talking about any animal family members who are departing the family, or if someone passes away, unfortunately, or if someone is ill, human or animal, someone who's going to be away for a while for any particular reason, or anyone who's going to be gone for good. And in the conversation, let's say someone has moved away, reassure them also who is staying, who no one else is moving away. If no one else is moving away, go ahead and reassure them of that, because that's a typical question that they might have. Another time that you want to communicate with your animal is if you just have any kind of big emotional thing going on. Now, I know we kind of all just live with stress, and we think that we don't even notice it about ourselves. We think that that's a way of life. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not. And it's a number one issue that I get with the animal and human relationship is actually managing the human's stress. So if you do happen to notice that you're having a very stressful time, go ahead and talk to your animal about it. They actually would love to hear what's going on. It would help them to relax and help them feel like they're really contributing more than they may have otherwise. One day, not too long ago, I came home having had a really difficult time with a friend. And I was very upset. And I honestly, my heart was broken over what had happened between us. And my animals never see me crying, hardly ever. I'm fortunate that if I'm crying, it's because I'm happy. But I was crying from a broken heart. And my little Delilah was she was pretty freaked out actually. And she came up to me and she looked right in my face really deliberately. And I felt her very deliberately, telepathically, just saying to me, "What's wrong with you?" And I explained it to her. And she was actually, because I can hear her, she was actually very helpful. I'm going to share that with you at the end of this video, the advice that Delilah gave me. But just know that if you've noticed that you're having some kind of emotional issue, or if someone else in the house is and you don't know if they're going to communicate with your animal, have a sit down and talk with them. They really love to listen and they love to help. And one more thing that you can communicate with your animal about is little things, actually. So if you're really close with your animal, your dog or your cat, and like I mentioned earlier, we know that dogs get separation anxiety. If you're just going to work, go ahead and before you leave to go to work or even to the store, if you guys are really close, and tell them, "I'm going to go away for an hour. I'm going to go away for 8 hours. I'll be home after dark." It actually makes them feel a lot better, because just imagine again, if you have a partner or if you have a spouse or something, and you guys are sitting on the couch, hanging out, and then your spouse just gets up and walks out of the house, and you're just like, "Well, that's weird. Where did they go?" That would be really strange. It's not that you can't manage the fact that they're going to go to the store or to work or something. It's that it's weird because you don't know where they went. Your animal actually can feel that way. So again, it depends on the degree of how close you are, and that's nothing that's not a judgment in any way, because if you grew up in a house full of siblings, when siblings become teenagers, can you imagine a 15-year-old sibling going to the 16-year-old sibling and saying, "Hey, I'm going to go out for a while"? You'd be like, "Get out of here, I don't care." You love each other, but you just don't have the relationship where you're always keeping on top of things. So it could be, you could have a relationship that is as close as, say, your roommate. So sometimes you're very, very friendly with your roommate, and sometimes you have a moderately friendly relationship with your roommate. You could have that kind of relationship with your animals too. So in that case, just think about, okay, if I had a moderately friendly relationship with my roommate and I was in there, I was hanging out with them for a minute and then I was just gone, or if I was gone for 2 days, that might be really shocking to that roommate. Think of your animal that way. Barnabas is throwing a fit. What are you doing, Bubba? Oh, he's playing. And a good example of communicating that is my little Franzi here. Franzi, look at the camera. Look at the camera. He says, "Don't, mommy. Don't." Franzi, and obviously we're very, very close, but Franzi is very, very close with my husband as well. You may have seen Franzi and Brian in a video, because they had a viral video. They have over 10 million views. Franzi's going to go check out what his brother's up to. It's called Best Kitty Hug Ever, if you're curious. So Franzi and Brian are really close. And sometimes when Brian goes out, when I'm home still, and Brian goes out, even if it's for a short time, Franzi will just start wandering the house, crying. And I'll text Brian, I'm like, "Hey, can you tell Franzi that you're going to be back whenever you're going to be back?" Or I'll tell Franzi, either way, I'll do either one. I'll be like, "Franzi, he's coming back in however long." And then he'll just relax. He'll be like, "Oh, okay, fine. I get it." Although I will say that sometimes Brian's like, "I did tell him." So Franzi kind of wasn't paying attention, or he didn't really catch it. He wasn't, or he forgot. "Wait, how long is it again?" That's kind of their thing. Sometimes like, "Wait, how long again?" I think other times he might just be complaining. He's like, "Why did you leave? I didn't feel like having you leave right now." So anyway, you can just tell them about the little things too. They appreciate that. So finally, I'm just going to end this video by sharing with you the advice that I got from Delilah that one day when I was having a hard time and I had an issue with a friend, and I spoke with her about it, and it was really lovely advice, and it ended up in the end being the most simple and perfect advice. It actually ended up resolving the issue for me. So here it is. Delilah: Mommy, what's wrong? Me: My friend put a wall between her heart and me. Delilah: Why? Me: I don't know. Delilah, after a moment of thinking about it, says, Well, she must have needed to. Before you and I were together, meaning when she was a feral kitten out in the wild, it was dangerous for me, and I had to protect my heart. Me: I say, What do I do? Delilah: Be available to her. Me: I think that I am. How do I let her know that I am? Delilah: She knows. But she has her own choice to make. And just a note about her saying she knows. There was kind of a dual subtext there, which was, if you really are available to her, then she knows, which means that sometimes we are there for someone with condition, but what really being there for someone is when we're doing it unconditionally. And then also it meant, if I am there for her unconditionally, then she couldn't possibly deny it. That's just the truth. But she has her own choice to make. And that choice is whether or not she chooses to move forward with me in the issue that, whether she wants to do it, we want to resolve it together or not. And that's just free will again. We all have that free will. Well, we did resolve it, and I have to say that because of Delilah and also a couple of other friends who gave me advice, which happened to be the same thing, just be there unconditionally, just love unconditionally, is what Delilah told me in the end. And that's how I got through it. And so that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Check out my website. It's triciacarcharm.com. You can leave comments on the YouTube video or email me at triciacarcharm@gmail.com. And I would love to hear for you any of your stories, any of your comments, any of your questions about how to connect with your animals. Thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.